And if you're not everyone clap. If you're someone who is a self-declared culinary expert or just someone who likes to eat cheese or chocolate or bacon, you know that this has been a big year for Wisconsin and its cuisine. Top Chef filmed its 21st season here in Wisconsin with 2 episodes right here in Madison, including one challenge that had contestants racing around the Dane County Farmers Market. The state's food and culinary traditions took top billing throughout the entire season. Even so, despite that, only one of the 16 contestants on the show, Dan, is actually from Wisconsin. In fact, it was the first time in the show's entire history that a chef currently working professionally in Wisconsin participated in the competition. Now, if you haven't watched the season yet or planning to, here's a bit of a spoiler, so cover your ears for a moment. I'll let you know when it's okay. Dan makes it all the way to the finale, finishing as a runner-up. Along the way, he charms his fellow contestants and wins the hearts and bellies of viewers across the country. The Badger State couldn't have asked for a better ambassador. But Dan is so much more than a reality TV star. With his business partner, Dan Van Wright, he owns 2 award-winning restaurants in Milwaukee. Both chefs have been semifinalists many times for James Beard Awards, which recognize the very best chefs and restaurants in the country. Dan helped create the Restaurant Revitalization Fund in 2021, which raised billions of dollars to help businesses hurt by the pandemic. He also works tirelessly for many charities and has used his time in the national spotlight to inspire people with disabilities to pursue their passions. We couldn't be happier that he's agreed to join us today to share his recipe for success. See what I did there? So please join me in welcoming Dan James.
Wow. Winter 24 graduates. I have to say, it's absolutely wild that I'm standing here. University of Wisconsin, I mean, come on, unreal. I'm beyond thrilled to be here and truly honored to celebrate with all of you. I want to thank Chancellor Mnuchin's office, the incredible faculty, and most importantly, all of you. Thanks for choosing me over Beyonce, as you know. I know this was a tough call. Let's be honest, Beyonce is an icon. She's a megastar. But you chose me, a chef from Milwaukee, and I have to admit, I feel really special. One introduction, by the way, Provost. What the Provost didn't mention, though, is that I barely graduated high school. Seriously, my parents had to bribe me with a $400 1982 Volkswagen Fox. A total piece of junk, but it got me across the finish line. College wasn't for me either. After 1 year, I realized my path was elsewhere. Success doesn't look the same for everyone, and the next chapter of your life won't look the same for every one of you. I began my cooking at age 19. Though I didn't immediately realize it would become my career. Moving to Door County marked my first time living away from home, and one of the few options was working as a line cook at the cookery in Fish Creek. The only certainty I had back then was that I genuinely enjoyed being in the kitchen. Growing up, helping in the kitchen was a way of avoiding household chores. But after the cook, I could get out tasks like scrubbing the toilet, mopping floors, etc. But my dad would often take over dinner duties. His meals were simple but satisfying. Pastas with meat sauce, meatloaf, other homey dishes. What I loved most was the freedom he had in the kitchen. He would throw soy sauce together with Worcestershire sauce and tomatoes and onions and garlic, and boom, there we had his riff on pasta sauce for the night. Sometimes good, sometimes not. That sense of experimentation, though, and creativity was the spark that ignited my love for cooking. That's really where it all began. My first job as a short order cook was where I mastered the art of breakfast. But what really caught my attention was the nighttime crew. They always seemed to have a steady supply of beers. The waitstaff were constantly flirting with them, and I thought, man, I want to be just like them. They oozed cool. The night shift felt like another world. Everyone from the dish guy to the waitstaff seemed way cooler than the day staff. They cooked things we didn't make during the day, like stir fries, and they did it with such confidence and flair. I really wanted to be in their club. It was at this job that I experienced my first real kitchen injury. I don't exactly remember what I touched, but I burned the inside of my right hand pretty badly. I panicked. Immediate thoughts were like, I've got to go to the hospital. But one of the nighttime cooks handed me an ice cold beer and told me to wrap my hand around it. He assured me I'd be fine. From that moment on, it cemented for me, this is where I wanted to be. The camaraderie, the chaos, the fire. Literally and figuratively. I knew I didn't want to do anything else. So I moved back to Chicago. I started working at a restaurant called Carlos in Highland Park. One of the top 5 restaurants in Chicago at that time. I completely charmed my way into that kitchen. I didn't outright lie, but it wasn't exactly truthful either. I sold myself as a more experienced cook than I actually was, but deep down I knew I could rise to the occasion if given that chance. For the first 6 months, my tasks were simple but relentless. Cutting shallots, chopping chives, cleaning lobsters. It reminds me of this movie, The Karate Kid. Mr. Miyagi would teach Daniel to sand the floor, but he's really teaching him how to block a kick. That repetition wasn't just busy work or just something new. It instilled essential skills, speed, efficiency, cleanliness, and organization. These lessons have stayed with me throughout my life, and I believe they're invaluable to anyone to learn. In fact, I encourage all of you, if you haven't already, to work in a restaurant at least once. Whether as a host, dishwasher, line cook, whatever. I know some of you are probably thinking, why would I do that? I have a college degree. But hear me out. Working as a dishwasher teaches you organization, cleanliness, the value of hard work, and how to put in a consistent effort. Being a host teaches you empathy, compassion, how to connect with people, how to be kind, even when the last thing you feel like doing is being kind. These jobs may seem simple, but they lay a foundation of skills and character traits that will benefit you no matter where life takes you. I worked at that top 5 restaurant for 2 years. During that time, 2 pivotal things happened. Number 1, I quit culinary school. I just wanted to cook full time. Number 2, the chef there, Alan Wolf, told me I would never amount to anything. Alan was a jerk, but also Alan was a classic old school chef. He yelled a lot, he smoked a lot, he drank all the time, and was generally frightening to be around. I owe him a huge thank you, and this is where it sounds weird, but there was a lot to take out of this first restaurant experience in Chicago. He taught me how to butcher all types of fish and meat. He instilled my love of cookbooks as a substitute for culinary school, and not having money to dine in some of the restaurants I wanted to, I just read about those restaurants. I keep going back to this comment he said to me, "You'll never amount to anything." In my head, I was like, was he jealous? Did he know that would drive me? Because what it did is it lit a fire in me that in many ways my entire career has been driven by that desire to prove him wrong. For me, there's no better motivation than being underestimated. It pushes me to become more than I am. I refuse letting anyone tell me I can't do something. Over the next 5 years, I worked in some of the coolest kitchens in Chicago, and eventually found my first true mentor, Sean McClain. Sean was the culinary equivalent of a rock star at the time. The people were asking him to be on The Bachelor. He was not only ridiculously talented, but he owned the hottest restaurant in Chicago. Having a mentor like Sean jump-started my entire career. He had such a wealth of knowledge, and unlike chefs I worked with before him, and kind of after, he never really yelled. He kept the kitchen light. We played music all day. We cooked great food and just learned a ton. It was under his guidance that I realized I needed to be fully committed to this profession as my life's work. It was also the first experience as a sous chef, leading a team and taking responsibility. I failed a lot, but every time I fell, I got back up. That's when I learned one of the most valuable lessons in my career, is that pressure is a privilege. Fast forward to about 10 years, handful of jobs, and I find myself here in Wisconsin. Milwaukee to be exact. I'm still to this day not exactly sure why me and my wife, Kate, decided to move here, but it just felt right. Wisconsin became our home. This move shaped everything. I met some of the best friends I'll ever have. I became the chef I always wanted to be, not just an imitation of my past mentors, but someone with a voice of my own. And I even got on Top Chef. It's funny how life unfolds when you take the leap and trust the journey. Top Chef was a wild ride. I auditioned 11 times before finally getting out. And when they announced the season would be right here in Wisconsin, it felt kismet. On day 1, 2 things hit me hard. I was the oldest contestant, and I was the only chef representing Wisconsin. This scared me more than anything else because I knew the state was counting on me and I needed to deliver. Again, pressure is a privilege. The show was grueling. Even though we were in my home state, I was completely cut off from my life. They stripped me down to the basics. No phone, no internet, no TV, no news, no support system. It's like living in a bubble, completely focused on competition. By the time we wrapped in September, I realized I hadn't missed much. So I am from Illinois, I grew up in Chicago, I am a Bears fan with perpetual high hopes at the beginning of every season. I came back, the Bears still sucked. And Jimmy Buffett passed away, which was a bummer. But I endured. I kept pushing through the Top Chef challenges with these 5 simple rules, all of which translate to real life challenges. Number 1, what am I being asked to do? Before tackling a challenge, ask yourself what success looks like. Number 2, what plate am I going to use? This sounds weird, but it really makes sense when you think about how you're gonna make something. In real life, ask yourself, how am I going to show up? What energy am I going to bring? Number 3, how is this going to taste? Is the food sweet? Am I doing something savory? This helps you identify your end goal. Number 4, what can I do to make my dish stand out? How can you let individuality shine? And 5, and I think most important, have fun and don't take life too seriously. The only 2 times that I didn't go in with the intention of having fun is when I ended up on the bottom. How can I be myself and have fun? Those weeks on Top Chef weren't just about cooking. They were about resilience, focus, and trusting years of experience I had built up to carry me through. Being on Top Chef, pushing myself far outside my comfort zone, and for better or worse, I stay true to who I am. I even admit on national television that I hate fish boils. I risked a move here in Wisconsin. I genuinely thought you all might hate me for this. What I realized is I just gave you all the excuse to hate them as well. But by showing up as my authentic self, as a differently abled, older contestant, I demonstrated that it's never too late to pursue your passions or chase your dreams. I got to become a stronger advocate for the industry I love and the state I am proud to call my home. Most importantly, I want to leave the world a better place than I found it. And I challenge all of you to do the same. As you step into this new chapter of your life, take a moment to think about the kind of person you want to be in this world. Always remember this, people will remember you for how you treat them. Lead with empathy. Have the courage to stand up for what you believe in, especially when it means supporting those who look or think differently from you. Make your life and your impact count. And here's the thing, you can make change. I know there's probably a lot of people in this room feeling unsure and uneasy about the direction of our country or the next generation. But instead of feeling defeated, remind yourself this, our government works for us. No matter who's in charge, they answer to us. Now, I'm going to teach you something that possibly might be one of the most important lessons you'll ever learn. And that's how to spatchcock a chicken. Everyone should be able to roast a good chicken. So this apron has a koozie pocket, but there's no beer in it, and it's so I really wanted to do something on stage with my hands because it felt weird to just stand here and talk to you guys. So we're gonna do it with the chicken. I really feel like I judge a restaurant and pretty much anybody on their roast chicken. So that being said, I think everybody should know how to roast a chicken. So we have here, this is going to be our chicken. It's just. Then we're going to take our knife here. Big thing with spatchcocking, and this is not only is it a fun word to say, but more importantly, allows you to make a superior roast chicken. Spatchcocking is when we remove the backbone, which I'm going to show you guys how to do. Flatten out the bird to expose more skin, basically the good part. It allows the bird to cook more fastly and more evenly. So we're going to stand the bird up on his legs. We're going to go down one side right here. Then, we're going to go down the other side. Is this weird? I thought this was a good idea. We'll see how this goes. Luckily, the School of Nursing is right there in case something bad happens. All right, so back one out. We'll save that for later. Then what we're left with is our chicken here. We're going to take this guy and we're going to press it. This is going to open it up so it's nice and flat. I think, when I'm making a roast chicken, one of the ways to get really good flavor into it is going to be to basically rub this garlic butter, basically lay it down all over it, and this is going to seem a little weird, but we're going to stuff it inside of the skin. What it's going to do is create like a real nice moisture that goes with it. Also, we're going to salt it. Now, a lot of people like to brine their chickens. I'm not a big fan. I like to dry brine. Basically, you're salting it directly, you're creating what's going to be a brine concentrate. So juices are released and then brought right back in. We're going to add some pepper. And then, through the magic of television, voila! All right, I tried to memorize this. I'm really bad at memorizing, hence not going to college. But you guys thought you weren't going to learn anything today. The thing I love most about cooking is that the learning never stops. As a chef, we're constantly evolving, experimenting, refining our styles. That endless curiosity is what keeps us inspired. Take that same thirst for knowledge and apply it to whatever you guys are passionate about. Thank you. Congratulations to the class of 2024.